So UFC 264, Poirier versus McGregor 3 is now in the rearview mirror. It's time to start looking forwards. So this is every single fight to make after UFC 264. I've got all of the key players from the card on the screen right now. Some winners, some losers, and you may notice there is an empty box next to all of them, and I have their next opponent hidden around the perimeter of the screen that I will slowly reveal and place into position as this video goes on. So let's waste no more time and start with the main event. Dustin Poirier versus Conor McGregor 3. A little bit of a weird ending. Conor McGregor breaks his leg randomly. Dustin Poirier gets his hand raised. He was probably going to win anyway, in all honesty, so he kind of won anyway, and he was kind of beating up McGregor on the ground before the injury happened. So there's not too much controversy, but it did end on a sour note. Either way, Dustin Poirier won. Conor McGregor officially lost. Dustin Poirier, in my opinion, I know there's been some talk about maybe running this one back. No, Dustin Poirier just took little to no damage. Charles Oliveira is a champion waiting to defend his title against a contender, and he can't do it against Justin Gaethje because Gaethje's done nothing since getting completely embarrassed against Khabib Nurmagomedov. So, Dustin Poirier should immediately fight for the belt against Charles Oliveira. We need pay-per-view cards, and I need that to happen maybe around November. 5 months away, not too long away. Dustin Poirier can have a little bit of a break. Maybe we even try and bring them back in October or something like that, but I feel like the October card is kind of coming together already, so maybe in November we do Dustin Poirier, Charles Oliveira, lightweight belt on the line. I know that Charles Oliveira is viewed as the lightweight champion, but I feel like Dustin Poirier is also kind of viewed as the lightweight champion, so this is basically a unification bout. Whoever wins this one will be undoubtedly the best lightweight on the planet. Dustin Poirier, Charles Oliveira, amazing matchup. Really looking forward to it. I think that should happen next. I don't want to hear anything about a Poirier versus McGregor 4. Maybe we can come back to it if both of these guys have fights and win and they're 2 fights removed, and then you want to make the quadrilogy or something like that. But to make it again immediately, there's only so many times you can run a fight back in a row, and I think we've had enough. Number 4 can wait. Dustin Poirier, Charles Oliveira, which leaves us with Conor McGregor, officially lost against Dustin Poirier. Took an injury as well. I know who his next opponent's going to be. You all know what his next opponent's going to be. It's Nate Diaz, of course. This was the matchup that we all knew was going to happen if Conor McGregor lost. People were discussing it before Conor McGregor even lost, including me. If he did lose to Dustin Poirier in the trilogy, then he would go in there against Nate Diaz. Great matchup. History there. Trilogy on the line. You could even do it at 155 because if you remember, Conor McGregor said after the second Nate Diaz bout, if you want to do this, we'll come back down to 155 pounds on my terms. Then it would actually mean something for Conor McGregor's ranking in the 155 pound division. I know Nate Diaz is not ranked. I understand. But for McGregor to be coming off of a broken leg, I doubt RDA is going to wait around that long. I doubt Gaethje's going to wait around that long. Nate Diaz has no obligations to fight anyone. He can just jump back in whenever he wants. So, Conor McGregor, take some time. Wait until the end of August to recover from your leg. Hopefully it's all okay by the end of that. Recover, get back in there, get back in camp. 6 months off, in my opinion, should be enough. It didn't seem like too bad of a break around the massive shin area. Seemed like a little bit of a lower ankle, lower shin area break, so I think he's actually going to be able to recover reasonably quickly, and I think he's going to want to recover really quickly as well, because I doubt he's going to want to linger on this loss to Dustin Poirier. He wants to get right back in there. I say do him versus Nate Diaz. The trilogy is there. It makes all the sense in the world. Both guys recently fought. Nate Diaz took a bunch of damage against Leon Edwards. He's not rushing his career right now. He really doesn't really care about time. I know maybe he wants to stay a little bit more active, but I think this is the fight to make. Conor McGregor, Nate Diaz 3. In the lightweight division. It's another million pay-per-view seller, a great card, and I just think we should be using Conor McGregor right now to promote other stars on his card, like the Sean O'Malley's, like the Tai Tuivasas, like the Ilia Tapurias, the Mikel Pereira's, the Dricus Duplessises. All of these guys on the card are now going to be way more popular and well-known because of McGregor headlining, and we need to make the most out of that while we can to try and get these new stars into the mainstream with McGregor's name. So let's do McGregor versus Nate Diaz 3, but now let's get on to the ones you didn't know about, because I feel like we all knew. When you clicked this video, you kind of assumed I would have made these matchups in the main event. Either way, the co-main event, Gilbert Burns got a win over Stephen Thompson. I know it was a little bit boring, but Gilbert Burns beat Stephen Thompson. I picked Stephen Thompson, don't get me wrong, and I know Gilbert Burns landed a couple of illegal shots to the back of the head and there was some controversy there, but he beat Stephen Wonderboy Thompson in a fight. And that's really difficult to do. So props to Gilbert Burns for being able to do that. I feel like he doesn't get enough credit, in all honesty, because of the ending with the illegal blows. Either way, Gilbert Burns, in my opinion, he made a call out, and it was Jorge Masvidal. And I think that's exactly who his next opponent should be. I know people would not like to hear that. I think that some people might think that's a stupid matchup. Masvidal will not say Leon Edwards' name. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I can't do Burns versus Masvidal because Edwards versus Masvidal. No, Masvidal will not say Edwards' name in any way. He doesn't want that fight. He's calling out Colby Covington. He's calling out Nick Diaz. Now that Gilbert Burns has beat Wonderboy, it kind of means Covington's probably going to get that title shot. Nick Diaz is coming back against Robbie Lawler. So all of a sudden, Masvidal's options are completely limited other than Gilbert Burns. And he said he was interested in the winner of this bout before the fight happened. Gilbert Burns called him out on the microphone. Masvidal was in the crowd. He responded. He said, yes, I'm ready. Let's go. I think you need to make the most out of that little bit of promo you have to try and get Masvidal back up to the top of the division, because if he beats Gilbert Burns, he's going to be in a position to argue a title elimination bout. Definitely title elimination bout. Maybe even a title shot if Leon Edwards like randomly loses to someone and Covington beats Usman and Usman's injured for a while and Masvidal's right there with a win over Burns and Covington's the champ. Maybe there's a situation where he could get a title shot. Either way, if you want to make that fight, I think you should do it right now, because there's no better promo than someone calling out someone who's in the crowd. Let's make the most out of it, because there's no other promo with anyone and Masvidal other than Colby Covington and Kamaru Usman. He can't fight Kamaru Usman. He won't fight Colby Covington. I think Covington's going to get a title shot. This is the only promo we've got for Masvidal to create a big fight. Gilbert Burns, Jorge Masvidal. I don't even mind Masvidal's chances, in all honesty. I think it'll be a great scrap. Burns versus Masvidal. Make it happen. Feature fight of a pay-per-view for 5 rounds. Good stuff. Moving on to the loser of the co-main event, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Now, another weird matchup that people might not agree with, but I'm going to just randomly go for it, man. And this will not be the person you think it will be. Whatever you think this person is over here just off the screen, it's not that person. You think again. Think again, it's not him either. It's Brad Tavares. And hear me out, okay? Stephen Thompson will not ever get a title shot at welterweight ever again. He really won't. He's going to have to win 3 in a row to try and get a title shot back in the welterweight division. If he beats Brad Tavares at middleweight, which I truly believe he could actually do if he moved up. Tavares is not too much of a heavy grappler. There aren't too many heavy grapplers in the middleweight division either. I think Stephen Thompson should try and take on Brad Tavares, who's coming off a big win at middleweight, who should be ranked around 11 or 12 or maybe even 10 in that middleweight division. Stephen Thompson, Brad Tavares. I know it doesn't make too much sense, but I think Wonderboy needs to move up to middleweight, man. He's not going to have another chance at a belt in the welterweight division unless he wants to take on up-and-comers that are just hungry and monstrous and want to kill him every single time, like 28-year-olds, 27-year-olds in their prime, doing really good, no injuries, no damage over their career. Unless he wants to go back to taking on those Luke Hayes and Jeff Neals, I think he's got to change it up a little bit, go up another division. He's a big-framed guy for the welterweight division anyway. Pack on about 5-10 pounds. See how it looks on Wonderboy Thompson. Maybe he gains a little bit of power. You never know. He's a tall, rangy guy. It makes a little bit of sense. Let's do him versus Brad Tavares. And then if he wins that one, we're talking about he's beaten Whittaker. He had a razor-close fight with Darren Till. If Till beats someone and Wonderboy beats Brad Tavares and Till needs an opponent and there's no one else, they could rematch that bout. They could also do a rematch between Whittaker and Wonderboy. That would be a great rematch to make as well. Wonderboy, of course, has that win over Whittaker, which is going to help him if he does move up to middleweight to have that win over Whittaker. That's really good promo to try and get him towards that title shot. If I was Wonderboy, I'd go to middleweight, fight Brad Tavares, call out Jack Hermansson, call out a title elimination bout, and try and get a title shot against Israel Adesanya, because I don't know about you guys, but Israel Adesanya versus Stephen Thompson sounds like a wonderful time. And right now, there's barely any grapplers in the middleweight division. I just said Jack Hermansson, but he's not really a dominant takedown artist. I mean, he's a big guy, don't get me wrong, but I think Wonderboy's got chances against these middleweights, and I'd like to see him move up because he's not going to get a title shot at welterweight ever again. I think you need to try out a new division. Moving on to someone else. Tai Tuivasa got a big win in the feature fight of the card against Greg Hardy. Got a big comeback KO. It wasn't really a comeback. He got hit once, wobbled a little bit, bounced back, landed a big shot. Not like he was getting beaten up or anything like that, but even still, shock KO win for Tai Tuivasa in the first round. I believe he should take on next Blagoy in a rematch, because Tai Tuivasa has some losses in his career, one to Junior Dos Santos, one to Blagoy, one to Sergey Spivak. Spivak's a little bit of a younger guy. You don't really want to make that rematch right now and cancel out one of your up-and-comers. So Tai Tuivasa, Blagoy Ivanov is ranked in a heavyweight division. Get that loss off of Tai Tuivasa's record. It was a razor-close fight the first time, so I would argue that Tuivasa would probably beat him the second time. He's the younger guy. He's way more improving. Let's make that rematch again. Maybe as the feature fight of a fight night, or again, a headliner of the prelims of a pay-per-view, or even on the main card of a pay-per-view again. Great scrap. Rematch. Tuivasa versus Blagoy 2. Get him in the rankings against a ranked opponent, and if he wins that one, then he can start looking towards the top 10 of the heavyweight division, and he'll eliminate a loss off of his record and make himself look even better in the process, fixing a little bit of his legacy while he can. I say pounce on the opportunity. Tuivasa, Ivanov 2, make the fight happen. Amazing scrap, and I'd love to see it. Tuivasa versus Ivanov is a good fight. Not the biggest name in all honesty, but then again, Tuivasa just beat Greg Hardy. I know he's a big name, but he's also not really good or ranked highly in the heavyweight division whatsoever. So, Tuivasa, Blagoy it's time for a real test for Tuivasa against a good scrappy veteran to see if he can get the redemption in the rematch. Moving on to the winner on the opener of the main card, Sugar Sean O'Malley. He got a really good win over Chris Matinho, but again, it was Chris Matinho. I know he called out Dominic Cruz, said he was ducking him. He called out Cody Garbrandt. He called out Fob Ront, which was very interesting. I've never heard of him, but either way, he called out Rob Font also in the post-fight press conference. I don't think he's going to get any of those bouts. I know that he won, and he had a really good position to make call-outs. Dominic Cruz turned down Marlon Vera because he was wanting to look up the rankings. I don't think Cruz will accept O'Malley. Why would he? He didn't accept him after the Thomas Almeida fight. And why would he accept him after the Chris Matinho fight? It doesn't make any sense in the world. Maybe Dominic Cruz would see the opportunity to get a big name value win over Sean O'Malley, a guy who he maybe thinks could go on to become something in that bantamweight division. But Dominic Cruz said to Marlon Vera, I'm looking up the rankings right now. I'm trying to get a fight against a guy coming off a loss in the top of the division to get me towards a title shot. I'm chasing greatness, not star power, not just big names and gimme fights and stuff like that. So I don't think Sean O'Malley's going to get any of those names. I think he should take on another guy who's ranked at bantamweight, another veteran who's actually good at fighting, that we can see just how good Sean O'Malley is against, Rafael Assunção. He's got good wins. He's beaten Dillashaw. He's beaten Marlon Moraes. He's beaten Aljamain Sterling. He's beaten someone else amazing, Masvidal. He's beaten Jorge Masvidal. He's got a lot of good wins on his record. He's got a good record, and something very important. As much as people say that O'Malley's ducking top competition, why would a top competition opponent want to take a step back against O'Malley? They wouldn't. That's why O'Malley has not been matched against real top contenders, especially, he shouldn't have had to even fight Marlon Vera. He should have immediately jumped into the top 10. That's what they would do with anyone else. But the top contenders are looking back thinking, I want to move forward towards the title shot. I'm not looking back at Sean O'Malley. Rafael Assunção is on a losing streak. He is not in a position to negotiate or be hard to work with. So, Sean O'Malley, Rafael Assunção. If Assunção was willing to take on Kyler Phillips, I'm sure he'll be willing to take on Sean O'Malley. I think that fight should take place. O'Malley versus Assunção. Not too much of a jump up, but still a jump into the rankings against a legit opponent. Then we can start talking about Rob Font, Dominic Cruz, Pedro Munoz, these kind of opponents. After you've beaten a guy who's a tough veteran in the teens of the bantamweight division, Rafael Assunção. I think that's a great matchup, and I'd love to see it happen at some point, maybe in November, December. Assunção pulled out of a fight with an injury last month. He's probably going to be recovered around the same time that Sean O'Malley is from this fight. So let's make that fight happen in November on a pay-per-view, or December even as well if they want to put it on another McGregor card. We'll see what happens. But Sean O'Malley, Rafael Assunção, I think is a good stepping stone, or an attempted stepping stone, to get him towards those big ranked names that he wants. Great matchup. Moving on to someone else. Ilia Topuria got a good win against Ryan Hall, cancelled out the hype. I think he should take on Alex Caceres in the featherweight division. I was thinking about Andre Fili, but no, I went with Alex Caceres. Ilia Topuria is great. He's really good. He beat Ryan Hall. Ryan Hall is a ranked level opponent. He was ranked before his inactivity. Then he got removed from the rankings. I think Ilia Topuria is probably going to take the number 15 spot, but right now, Alex Caceres is ranked number 15 in the featherweight division. He's got a lot of wins in a row. I think Ilia Topuria should stay really active. He literally took 0 damage against Ryan Hall. Stay active, beat a guy in Alex Caceres. If I was Ilia Topuria's manager, I would be screaming for an Alex Caceres fight. It's such a good fight for Ilia Topuria, and I think he just needs one more win before we jump him into the top 10 of the featherweight division, because he's got some good wins, but he's not got many quality wins. You know, before the Ryan Hall fight, Yusuf Salau's not looking too good recently in the UFC. He's on a losing streak right now himself. Maybe he could get cut by the company. You've also got another bout in Ilia Topuria's career, Damon Jackson, who only really had a win against Masad Bektik because Bektik was dominating and eventually got caught in a guillotine. Either way, Ilia Topuria, I think he needs one more win on his resume against Alex Caceres. Then we can start talking about the top of the featherweight division. I think that's a great matchup, and I think it could be a feature fight of a fight night very easily, putting him in a good spotlight. Ilia Topuria, Alex Caceres. Moving on, Mikel Pereira, also on the prelims, got a big win against Nico Price. Is going to need some time off. Another guy who's going to need some time off after his last fight, Muslim Salikov, is in the rankings of the welterweight division. I believe he's number 15 right now. Mikel Pereira, Muslim Salikov. Need I say more? A real test for Mikel Pereira. The toughest test of his career so far, definitely. I think he should take on Muslim Salikov. Salikov's on a win streak, but he beat Francisco Trinaldo, and he arguably didn't beat Alessio Zaleski dos Santos. So either way, both guys kind of need that one more win before they start looking towards the top 10. I think this is the fight to make. Both entertaining strikers, really great strikers. It'll be a great style matchup, and I will, with a very strong main event of a fight night, with an extremely strong main event of a fight night, I'll take Mikel Pereira versus Muslim Salikov as a co-main event any day of the week. I can already see the card coming together now. Let's just make up a main event of a fight night. Justin Gaethje versus Michael Chandler. November fight night main event. Co-main event, Mikel Pereira versus Muslim Salikov. Feature fight, Ilia Topuria versus Alex Caceres. Dunsky. Maybe you even open up the card with Dricus du Plessis versus his next opponent. I know he called out the top 10. In my opinion, again, not quite ready. Maybe take a little bit more time. He's a young guy. He's got a lot of time. Improve your contract. Get a little bit better, because he did make some technical mistakes against Trevin Giles, especially on the feet. Even though he got a KO win, he did get hit a couple of times. Did take some damage. I think he needs to take some time before he jumps into the rankings. And let's do Dricus du Plessis versus Eric Anders, who is sitting just outside the rankings of the middleweight division. Top 20 guy, coming off a win against Darren Stewart by pretty good performance. He would have TKO'd him the first time as well. He's basically on a 2-fight winning streak, but he went for an illegal knee. Dricus du Plessis, Eric Anders. Open up the main card of this card that I'm working on in my head. Gaethje Chandler, co-main event, Pereira versus Salikov. Feature fight, Ilia Topuria, Alex Caceres. Open up the main card with Dricus du Plessis, Eric Anders, and do whatever you want with the rest of the card, because it's done, and it's amazing, and I'd love to see it. So, that's what I want to see next. Winner of that one can get a ranked opponent, and that's all the fights to make after UFC 264. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Click that button up there. Toodle pip. I'll see you later.